Marquette College Game Day, powered by ESPN Milwaukee.
Back to Sean Jones. He'll penetrate. Floater from 10. Banked it up and in. Over crowd. Sean Jones. Yes,
we know one thing. He's got no fear.
Tonight, the 8th-ranked Golden Eagles host number 12 Texas.
Kolek open three. Good again. Easy for Tyler Kolek.
Brought to you by National Liquor Mart, Cousin Subs, Best Electric Service, and Marquette Athletics.
Back to Kolek. Kolek inside. Iguodala stuffs it. Marquette up 12.
Live from the atrium inside Fiserv Forum, alongside Tony Cartagena, here's Brian D.
It is bounce back time, and it's revenge time for the Marquette Golden Eagles. Welcome into another edition of Marquette College Game Day live from Fiserv Forum. Brian D. and Tony Cartagena with you until 6:30 this evening, taking you into network pregame coverage of number 8 Marquette and number 12 Texas as the Golden Eagles try to rebound from a Saturday loss to the Wisconsin Badgers. TC, thanks for jumping in. I want to start with that loss on Saturday to the Wisconsin Badgers. Marquette falling for the second time in 3 games. Doesn't really feel that way because they got on such a heater in the Maui Invitational, beating UCLA, beating the number 1 team in the country at the time, Kansas, and then falling by 3 in a great basketball game to Purdue, who became number 1 before falling to Northwestern last weekend. Come home, beat Southern, and then go on the road and lose a heated rivalry game. I have my take, but what do you think went so wrong for Marquette on Saturday morning in Madison?
It was almost a perfect storm. So having gone to Wisconsin, been part of some of those weekend afternoon games at the Kohl Center, I'm telling you, there's some curse in the air to rank teams that travel to the Kohl Center. It didn't matter if Bo Ryan was coaching, if Greg Gard was coaching, if Ben Brust was playing. Like, it does not matter. Those games, whether it's the early tip time, it's the Kohl Center is electric. I know, like, they give students a hard time about stuff, but like, it's hard to play there, and you get into that spot where it's just like a dangerous, it doesn't matter what the rankings are. We've seen Michigan State, we've seen Michigan, we've seen Ohio State come there as ranked opponents and lose all within the last decade. Like, it's one of those things that's really tough. And then Wisconsin was lights out hot in the first half. That just happens. Sometimes shooters are going to shoot, right? And when you get hot and you get on a heater and you drop 21 in the first half of, like that, Marquette, you clearly see they're talented. They stormed back. I'm watching the game. Got a text chain going, Wisconsin fans, Marquette fans, and one of the exchanges was, Wisconsin has me rattled. And then 4 minutes into the second half, I responded to my buddy and go, well, because I think they cut the lead to 4 with 16 minutes to play. And I was like, all right, we got a ball game.
And they got it down to 1 at one point in the second half. And, you know, there's a couple of takeaways for me from the game. The first of which is the tip-off time. And you're right. Sometimes we forget, because it's high-level Division I college basketball, Tony, that these are 18 to 22-year-old kids, right? And when you're playing on the road, 11:30 a.m. tip,
I think weird.
I think Marquette traveled out there the night before, but regardless, you're probably getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You're rolling over to the arena. You're eating at a different time. Like, it's a recipe for not failure.
It's like when Wisconsin football would go down to Northwestern, who you're worlds better than, and lose at an 11 a.m. kick on a rainy Saturday. Sometimes the college atmosphere just hits different.
It's uncomfortable. The second thing, and these aren't excuses, it's just reality, you've seen all the teams that played in Hawaii struggle a bit, and I don't think it's out of the question that the time change there and the time change back throws you off a little bit. And I get it's been a week and you start to adjust back, but still, for a college kid, that's harder to do. And then finally, and I discussed this on our pregame show with Alex Stroh from our ESPN Madison team ahead of Saturday's game, I thought the game on Saturday was going to come down to who controlled the tempo and who played at their pace. If Marquette was able to come out and set the tone and get up and down the floor like they like to do, I thought they had a great chance of winning. What ended up happening was what often happens when the Wisconsin Badgers play, and this is why they've been so successful for the better part of the last 30 years.
Yeah.
They like to slow things down, to be efficient, to play at their pace, to screw things up for their opponent. And if you go back and watch the first 6 or 7 minutes of that basketball game, it was kind of a snooze fest in the way that Greg Gard and the Badgers wanted it to be. They slowed down the tempo, they controlled it, and then Max Klesmit, of course, scores 21 points in the first half, and sometimes you're just going to get a freak anomaly performance.
But that's the thing, too. When you're playing Wisconsin, they obviously want to slow it down, but when Klesmit's hitting those shots, if he misses 3 of those, right, it's a long rebound back the other way. Marquette's in the track meet they want to play. But you hit those shots, the crowd gets into it, those kinds of things happen. And you mentioned Honolulu or the Maui Invitational.
Yeah.
It is not easy to play the number 1 team in the country, log enough water so you're not cramped up the next day to play the number 2 team in the country. After having played UCLA, crazy long, athletic, Edie, crazy physical, Kansas, number 1. Like, that adds up over time. And I know they had a game before that Wisconsin game, and I'm not making excuses, but when you're just wearing down bodies that quickly, those invitational tournaments, when you advance, it's like playing in the Big East tournament, and you play 4, 5, 6 games in a row, and then you got to be ready for
the NCAA
tournament. Like, yeah, it's great to win the conference tournament, but sometimes it's not.
Sometimes you just want the rest.
You want the rest.
Regardless of the loss on Saturday, you're not going to be able to say at the end of non-conference play and at the end of the season that Marquette has not been battle-tested. Coming up in just a couple of minutes here on Marquette College Game Day, we're going to be joined by Ben Steele, the great writer from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, covers the Golden Eagles closer than anybody. Tonight's game, Tony, against Texas, I mentioned it off the top, bounce-back game because Marquette wants to rebound from the loss to Wisconsin. Revenge game in some sense because Shaka Smart's former employer was the Texas Longhorns before he left to come to Marquette. So I got to believe there's some motivation for Shaka tonight to give the horns down to his former employer.
We were talking about this at our office today, and I feel like Shaka's the nicest guy in the world.
100%.
Where is there any, so if you go to your former job, you walk through, there's usually a little bad blood, a little just weird. I feel like Shaka's just so cool. And this is coming from a Wisconsin fan. He's like the coolest guy in the city right now. He's even keel. He just hangs out. And I feel like no one can actually be mad at him for more than 7 seconds.
But behind closed doors, you hear these phrases in Marquette's program. You see them displayed on ribbon boards here at Fiserv Forum. Lost in the fight, violence. Like, he preaches that stuff behind closed doors to his team. So you're lying to yourself if you don't believe there's some sort of internal motivation to stick it to Texas tonight. And we'll talk about this with Ben Steele coming up next. Texas is a place, and we're going to see it in a couple of weeks, they care dearly about football.
Yep.
I don't care if you're getting 5-star recruits, spending as much money as you can. College basketball is always going to be in the back seat at a place like Texas because of the football culture in that state. Marquette, obviously, college basketball is going to be the priority here because that's all we have, and I think it's a perfect fit for Shaka, and he's going to try and put it on display tonight. But Texas is kind of like a mini Marquette. We'll explain what we mean on the other side when Ben Steele from the Journal-Sentinel joins us. This is Marquette College Game Day, brought to you by National Liquor Mart, Cousin Subs, Marquette Athletics, and a brand new partner, Best Electric. Check out Best Electric this winter. They can hook you up with a whole home generator system. Connect with them at Best Electric and find out more at bestelect.com. That is bestelect.com. Ben Steele from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel joins us next. It's Brian D. and Tony Cartagena live from Fiserv Forum on Marquette College Game Day, 94.5 ESPN.
Marquette College Game Day with Brian D. continues after this. 94.5 ESPN is the home of Marquette basketball.
At every meeting, at every new beginning, at every celebration, we make better happen. At Cousin Subs, better is more than just a word. It's a promise we serve at every party. Our customizable party boxes, box lunches, party chips, and dozen cookie boxes offer the options you need to please any crowd. Whatever the occasion, we will never settle for being just good enough. Order on our mobile app or online at cousinsubs.com. Cousin Subs, we believe in better.
National Liquor Mart is packed with deals to get you through the winter. During basketball season, remember to stop by National Liquor for all your Marquette pre- and post-game needs. If you're hosting a party and want to impress your guests, stop in to National Liquor where the varieties are endless. They have the cleanest store and the coldest beer. National Liquor Mart, where your satisfaction is their plan of action. National Liquor, open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily on the corner of 16th and National.
Hey, this is Travis Kelce, NFL tight end and proud member of the Lowe's home team. Lowe's knows when you've got the best price, you've already won. That's why we offer the lowest price guarantee. If you find a better price online or in-store, we'll match it. Now you can score on the top brands from the Lowe's home team picks, like Scotts, LG, and DeWalt. So take on your projects with confidence. Lowe's is the exclusive home improvement retail partner of the NFL.
Price match applies to same item, current price of qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at Lowe's.com/lowest price guarantee.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Circa Sports is now available at American Place. Bet on your favorite Milwaukee and Wisconsin teams, from Wisconsin football and basketball to all the Milwaukee basketball action, as well as more games nationwide. The Circa Sportsbook at American Place has 36 TVs, so you won't miss any of the action. And it's just 30 minutes from Kenosha and 45 minutes from Racine. For more information and to find out about their events, go to circasports.com. All Circa Sports bets must be placed in Illinois. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER or text GAMB to 833-234.
Experience, knowledge, results. That's what really matters when you need help after a serious truck accident. You'll need a lawyer experienced in fighting and winning for people just like you. Gruber Law Offices has the resources, strong track record of success, and a team of experienced lawyers to take care of your needs. We've successfully helped people injured in big truck accidents for more than 35 years. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
You're listening to Marquette College Game Day with Brian D. Brought to you by National Liquor Mart, Cousin Subs, Best Electric Service, and Marquette Athletics on the home of Marquette basketball, 94.5 ESPN.
Running the three-man weave on Marquette College Game Day, live from Fiserv Forum. Number 8 Marquette, number 12 Texas, tipping off at 7 o'clock tonight. Gabe Neitzel has your network pregame coverage coming up at 6:30. Joining us now, Brian D. and Tony Cartagena, is the esteemed journalist from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, covers the Golden Eagles closer than anybody. He is our buddy Ben Steele. Hey, Ben, how are you?
What's up, guys? We need two more guys. We need 2 more bodies off the bench. Run a little motion offense.
We could get our starting 5. We're going to be small, but we'll be scrappy.
Yeah, for sure.
Which would be good. Ben, you were out in Madison on Saturday. Tony and I talked about this off the top of the show. What do you think was the primary thing that went wrong for the Golden Eagles leading to that loss to the Badgers?
I mean, the obvious storyline was giving up the offensive rebounds. You know, 18 second chance points to 2 for Marquette. You're not going to win a lot of games, especially if, on the other end, if you're not shooting very well, like the Marquette was not shooting well, and that's a tribute to the Badgers defense. Like, they're disciplined. Marquette, when they like to get up, they like to play fast, they like to expose any cracks in a defense. But when you're disciplined like Wisconsin is, Marquette just ended up like shooting over the top of them, and they didn't shoot very well at all, and that's not a good recipe.
Not a good recipe against Wisconsin, but also, you saw them against Purdue. I thought they struggled a little bit inside with the size. Is that just something, unless they can get up and down, that's going to hamper them for most of the season?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this in shows last year, the year before. We're probably going to talk about that next year, too. It's just how Shaka Smart likes to play. He likes to switch a lot on defense, so the big guys are kind of out of position a little bit, and they don't have, like, the big bangers down low. And it's just the way the team is. They're just going to have to find a way to get around it, like they say. I've asked about the rebounding probably dozens of times over the last 3 years, and they just say if they get the offensive rebound, make them miss again until we finally get it. So that's kind of their philosophy.
I feel like it's one of those things where some teams are just built to beat other teams, and that's what I thought with Purdue going into that game. They just beat Kansas. Everyone's, and I was like, but 7'4" in the middle, it's going to be rough.
It's hard to compete with 7'4", that big behemoth down low.
That's right. Ben Steele, the Journal-Sentinel, joins us here on Marquette College Game Day live from Fiserv Forum. Ben, obviously a connection between Shaka Smart and the team that Marquette is playing tonight in the number 12 ranked Longhorns. It's his former employer. He won't say it externally, but how much motivation internally do you think there is for Shaka to stick it to Texas?
I think Shaka's always looking for a little bit of edge. He's always looking for a little extra motivation. I think he likes being at Marquette and being the underdog, whereas when he was at Texas, was kind of expected, like success was expected, and when he never won an NCAA tournament game there, he kind of got on the hot seat a little bit and bounced over here to Marquette. So I think there'll definitely be some edge. I think there's one player left at Texas from his time, Brock Cunningham.
It's funny, though. It feels to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, just sitting down by the floor, watching them warm up, and then doing some research on Texas and some reading. They're almost like Marquette light. Like they're not super big. They don't have a huge thumper down low like Zach Edey. They can score in the backcourt. Yeah. They're super aggressive on both sides of the floor. It feels like a mirror image of what Shaka has created at Marquette.
Yeah, that backcourt battle is going to be especially good. Cam Jones and Tyler Kolek, obviously one of the best backcourts in the nation, but Texas is pretty good too, including our local guy, Tyrese Hunter from Racine St. Cat's.
Yep.
Max Abemus, if anybody hasn't watched him yet, he used to be at Oral Roberts. Little guy, everyone likes a little guy who can score. They're going to see a lot of him putting up a lot of shots today. So that's going to be the story of the game, that those backcourts battling each other.
So Marquette obviously has some guys who Shaka recruited to Texas, end up at Marquette. One's being a local guy. I feel like we're going to see that more in college just because of transfer portals and NIL things. Like, it's just going to happen more often. How hard is that, in your opinion, just for an 18 to 20 to 22-year-old to kind of have that extra chip on their shoulder? Because, like, being at home, it's going to be a little bit easier, but if you go take those games on the road, I feel like that's tough at that age to be in an environment where people really just don't like you.
Yeah.
For no reason.
It's definitely a challenge. I always look, when freshmen come in for the first time, always look to see their faces in the warm-up lines on that first road game, like the Madison game, when they come out of the locker room. Illinois was actually the first road game for Marquette this year, and I remember looking at the faces as the Illinois crowd was booing them for the first time, and they kind of laugh about it a little bit, but then you kind of see the eyes like, all right, I got something to prove now. This is a little different story than high school, so it's always interesting to see that kind of transition.
Ben Steele, the Journal Sentinel, joins us here on Marquette College Game Day. Ben, through 8 games so far of a top 10 ranked team, what has surprised you the most about the Marquette Golden Eagles as they've played some really good competition?
Yeah, the defense for Marquette is actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Wow.
Replacing Omax Prosper, first-round NBA draft pick. He was their best defender last year. I thought there would be an adjustment. They've actually been pretty good on that end. I'm surprised on the offensive end. I thought this was going to be a really good shooting Marquette team. You plug in David Joplin, a really good shooter in that Omax role. I thought the three-point percentage was going to be up. That's where they've really struggled this year, especially Stevie Mitchell and Sean Jones. I think they were combined like 5 for 40. I'm not a math guy. That's not a good percentage.
Sounds like my math.
But if you want to spin it positively, that is untapped potential for a team that already has really good wins on their resume.
Yeah, and they're getting open shots.
Yeah.
So the process is good. The shots just aren't falling. Whether you think they're going to fall or not, that's, whether you're the glass half empty or glass half full guy, you got to figure the percentages are going to rise a little bit. So we'll see. Tonight be a good indication because teams are starting to lay off those guys and daring them to shoot.
So it's no surprise. I am obsessed with Tyler Kolek's game.
Yeah.
But watching Marquette a little closer this year, the way Kolek keeps on a string, incredible.
Yeah.
But watching their games this year, I like really scrappy players. What does Stevie Mitchell really mean to this team? Because when I watch them and when they go, he is everywhere. He's probably my size, and I swear his arms are as long as an airplane, and he is everywhere. And it's pretty incredible to watch.
Yeah, Tyler Kolek's the engine of this team, but Stevie Mitchell's the heart and soul of the team. The quintessential Shaka Smart player. He's a team guy. He's enthusiastic. He brings it every game. He'll guard. I've seen possessions where he guard 1 through 5, and he's not that big of a guy. Like, he's got a pretty good wingspan, like you mentioned, but he's only like 6'3", 6'4". But he's scrappy. He'll get into you. He'll dog you for 94 feet, and he'll bring it that in. I think that's one of the reasons why he struggled a little bit shooting. Just because he goes
He's
so
exhausted.
hard on the defensive end. And now I got to shoot a 20-footer on the other
Go
end.
guard someone 6'7", but then also hit open shots. Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Not surprising the legs are gone. Last thing for you, Ben. You were out in Hawaii for that Golden Eagles great run in the Maui Invitational. What was your favorite thing that you ate away from the floor when you were in Hawaii?
Oh, man, I had some good mahi-mahi out there. You did. Good seafood out there. Sitting at the beach one day, I had a nice little acai bowl.
Ooh.
And that was That was nice, man. That was the lifestyle out there.
See, journalism in Milwaukee isn't such a bad thing. Sometimes you get the trip to Maui and you get to eat acai
next year, Marquette's going to go to Ontario for the holidays. -7.
Canton, Ohio, maybe.
Yeah,
we'll see.
That's going to be your penance after going to Maui and Hawaii this year. Ben, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you.
Awesome.
We'll talk to you throughout the season on Marquette College Game Day.
Let's do it.
Coming up next here on Game Day, we will take a look at some alums from these great programs, Marquette and Texas. Who are our favorites? TC's got an answer for you on the other side. This is Marquette College Game Day, brought to you by National Liquor Mart, Cousin Subs, Marquette Athletics, and our brand new partner, Best Electric. Best Electric can protect your home this winter with a whole home generator system. Connect with Best Elect and find out more at bestelect.com. We'll wrap it up on the other side. Marquette College Game Day, 94.5 ESPN.
More Golden Eagles hoops talk coming up on Marquette College Game Day with Brian D. 94.5 ESPN is the home of Marquette basketball.
ESPN Radio Sports Beat with Freddie Coleman.
Normally, it can be very hard to defend James Harden. Currently the Clippers, later the 76ers, later the Brooklyn Nets, later the Oklahoma City Thunder, later the Houston Rockets. Because as much of a talent as he is, and there's no doubt about his talent on the basketball court, so many people are never going to give him a pass, especially when he has not delivered any playoffs and he doesn't have a championship ring to show for it. But I am going to defend him this way. He said he was lied to by Daryl Morey, the current general manager of the Philadelphia 76ers, who promised him a max contract. Now, you can say, hey, James, you can't believe anything that anybody says, especially when it comes to two things, business and money. But when you've helped make a guy's career when it comes to Daryl Morey being a general manager, and you've been able to go where he's been able to be in Houston and Philadelphia, and you had that kind of relationship and you've been lied to, I can clearly understand why James Harden said, you know what? I can't trust anybody, but if I can't trust you, I don't want to be here anymore. That's why I'm defending James Harden as far as that goes. In 60 seconds, the new NIL already?
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The president of the NCAA is Charlie Baker, and he is proposing rule changes involving NIL that's going to allow Division I schools for the first time to pay their athletes in ways that are not tied to educational resources. Now, he shared these proposed changes in a letter sent to member schools. If Division I schools choose to adapt these rules, they'll be allowed to enter into name, image, and likeness deals directly with their athletes. This new rule would also create a trust fund for athletes at the richest tier of athletic departments and allow each of these schools to create its own set of rules for recruiting, transfers, roster size, and a wide range of other policies. In other words, the rich are about to get richer. In other words, if you thought NIL created a Wild West situation before, it's really going to feel like the Wild Wild West with no sheriffs and no deputies and no law governing anything. It may be the right idea, but it may not be the right time. For the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Freddie Coleman.
This is Marquette College Game Day with Brian D. Brought to you by National Liquor Mart, Cousin Subs, Best Electric Service, and Marquette Athletics on the home of Marquette basketball, 94.5 ESPN.
And you know where I live. Yeah, you know what we is. Sometimes you gotta stay in. Welcome to
Tony Cartagena along for the ride tonight, live from Fiserv Forum as we get ready for number 8 Marquette against number 12 Texas, tipping off at 7 o'clock. Gabe Neitzel has your network pregame coverage coming up in just about 5 minutes' time. TC, when you think Texas, you think football.
Yep, 100%.
They're back. They're in the college football playoff this year, but their basketball program has had some pretty damn good players come through over the course of time. None better, probably, than
Kevin Durant is the all-time. It's going to take a top 10 player ever to be better than Kevin Durant at the University of Texas.
So who gets bragging rights in terms of NBA alums? Is it Marquette or is it Texas? Because if you go down the Rolodex, we've got D-Wade versus KD, which is about as good as you're going to get one for one in terms of
I would love
alums.
to take that conversation to the barbershop. D-Wade or KD just all time, because it's not as... KD would win that in the casual conversation, but it's not as close, or it's not as far off as people think. D-Wade was a dog.
And then you start going down the list, and from a Marquette perspective, you've got the Jimmy Butlers of the world, right? And then you've got the Juan Andersons of the world that have somehow carved out roles. Jamal Cain is getting minutes this year with the Miami Heat, which is crazy to me. The list goes on and on. Texas, you've got P.J. Tucker, who became a beloved Milwaukee
I was going to
Buck.
say, that's Wisconsin's first son, I think,
our guy,
is what his official title is. So we have to give him a huge head nod there. He recruited or helped recruit KD. He was his host.
Yes.
When KD took his official visit to Texas, he dormed with P.J. Tucker, which they got to have stories crazy there. But Jay Crowder wasn't on your Marquette list there.
You're
still,
absolutely right.
When he's healthy, getting solid NBA minutes.
Wes Matthews.
God, Marquette has a squad in the NBA.
Roster. But I think all the way back to 2003 as well, we're on the D-Wade.
The greatest draft class ever. The Bucks are in the top 5, and
TJ Ford.
Mr. Big Shorts himself.
So that's amazing because Marquette and Texas were both in the Final Four that year, along with Kansas and Syracuse.
Yep.
TJ Ford was kind of the dude on Texas that led them on that run that ended up losing to KU before the championship game. But in Milwaukee, we are always going to remember that epic photo that he took on Bucks Media Day with shorts that looked like they were 8 sizes too
They were shorts for someone. It was when the freshman makes varsity.
Yes.
And your school doesn't have new uniforms, and they grab the center shorts. Like, TJ Ford, I think, was listed at 5'10", and that was generous, is because he's the fastest player I've ever seen. But there's that photo of him in those shorts. And, yeah, no one will ever forget those giant purple Milwaukee Bucks shorts.
Well, we are in for a good one with these iterations of Marquette and Texas tonight, number 8 and number 12. The spread on this game was 8.5 this morning. It's dropped to 7.5 with Marquette as the favorite. That seemed like a lot. I think this is going to be a much closer game than 7 or 8 points. I think this is going to come down to the final 4 minutes tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one. Basketball is weird with those kind of spreads, though, because I always account 3, 4, maybe 5 for free throws at the end of a game. So if it's a close one and Marquette's pulling ahead, you could get to that 6.5, 7 pretty easily. Also, I just realized I'm taking Wade over Durant. Yeah,
okay.
I'm taking Wade over Durant.
Well, there it is.
Okay,
There's the final decision from the judge, Tony Cartagena.
Final.
Bang it. Thanks for hanging out with us this evening on Marquette College Game Day live from Fiserv Forum. Gabe Neitzel has your network pregame coverage coming up next, and then Homer and Tony Smith on the call of Marquette and Texas at 7 o'clock. This has been Marquette College Game Day on 94.5 ESPN.
Cousin Subs is here to rescue you from the winter blues with the hero of all Euros. Their mouthwatering Euro is back and features Euro meat, Wisconsin feta cheese, fresh cucumbers,